You know, I sometimes wonder why more skilled people don't end up becoming bounty hunters. Or maybe they do. I just feel like there's not been a lot of stories about that kind of thing. Like, Ventress becoming a bounty hunter makes so much sense, it's kind of weird. She's seen the bad of the Jedi, she's seen the bad of the Sith. I'm not having any of that. And just kind of goes and makes her own game of it. And someone with those kind of skills really is only going to get decent work as a mercenary or bounty hunter or whatever, you know. So it makes sense. And she ends up joining Bosk and Dengar and Boba, yada, yada, yada. You know, references. Um, as an aside, I wonder why we don't see more droid bounty hunters, too. Think about that for a second. Imagine a droid who, through circumstance or coincidence, ends up becoming, droid effect happens, memory wipes don't happen, they end up developing their own personality, and they either get abandoned, or they run away, or they're set free, or whatever, and what's a droid to do to make work for themselves? And of course, droids can upgrade themselves a little bit easier than people can. I mean, cybernetics are a thing, but you get the point. Thus, it's just an idea for a story I've never really gotten around to doing. I do like how Boba's the boss, but it's actually kind of pathetic because, see, when I first saw this episode, I thought they were going the direction of showcasing how skilled and good at leadership and how tactical Boba is, despite being a kid, to show that Boba is very high tier despite everything. That makes sense. Instead, we see that he's actually kind of pathetic this whole time. And in fact, every time he tries to assert his authority, it comes off whiny, like a kid, which kind of defeats the point. Anyways, I don't have much to say about the bulk of the episode. It's like, all right, here's a mission, and here's action, and here's action, here's a mission. As usual, I don't have much to say about action sequences, although I do find it funny how long it took Ventress to finally bring out her sabers. That amused me. Um, as an aside, of course, I also like how both Boba and Ventress became protective, for different reasons, of the kid that they were taking care of, who was going to become the bride. I've heard of mail order brides, but this is ridiculous. Anywho, so the daughter says, you'll never know what it feels like. Funnily enough, Ventress, one of the more interesting things about her character to me, is Ventress has seen both sides of the coin from opposite ends. She has lost her initial family to the Jedi, and then lost her Jedi family to the Sith, and then lost her Sith family basically to Palpatine, and then lost the Night Sister family to Dooku. She has seen the light side from the dark, and the dark side from the light. One of the things I've often said is that cause and effect aren't linear when it comes to character design and character arcs. I've talked about this extensively when it comes to writing and writing concepts, that you could have the exact same circumstances apply to two different people, and how they react to these things are going to be different. Generally, however, when someone goes through hell, when someone goes through something really horrible, there's two relatively predictable reactions to that. They come out of it with the best of themselves and become a better person, or they come out of it with the worst of themselves and become a much worse person. And I think it's interesting that Ventress has basically done both now, as a consequence of all that she's been through. Granted, Ventress is still not a hero. She is still not a good guy, to speak. She's no James Raynor, for example, or Princess Leia, if you prefer a female version. But she is still someone who obviously seems to enjoy the idea of actually helping others and doing good. And the idea of that kind of morally inclined mercenary appeals to me, especially for a Force user. I also, of course, this is kind of staggered, as in since her very, very first mission. If she didn't find out about the kid, she would have just gone through the mission and that would have been the end of it. But she does find out, because this happens to be a mission that kind of neatly slides into her character. It's a little too convenient, is what I'm trying to say. But it still works for me. Now Ventress can go off with the credits. I also like how she goes ahead and squares her debts, either because of the moral thing I mentioned earlier, or because she's smart. If she tried to piss them off by taking all the money, then she would now have to watch her back for another enemy that's after her in the future. If she pays them all off, we're all nice and squared. Here's your share, I took my share, and I have a little bit extra that I got from the kid, but otherwise we're cool. And she just walks away from it. It's a nice little touch. I really hope they do more with Ventress in the future. I know, it's probably not going to happen. Regardless, I hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.